1. Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening in mainland China is not just a story about rain and floods, it is a fierce battle between humanity and the destructive power of nature. In recent days, the world has turned its attention to the terrifying images coming out of Hunan, where unprecedented rainfall is turning bustling cities into raging oceans. Can you imagine? The once busy streets now resemble dangerous, swirling rivers. Who could have imagined that in the blink of an eye, everything could turn into such a horrifying nightmare, but this is not the end of nature's wrath. In Shaanxi and Sichuan, millions of people are racing against time, struggling against the rising floodwaters that are sweeping away everything they once held dear. Fertile fields and peaceful villages have now become muddy, murky pools of despair. What will happen if the water continues to rise? Will there be anything left to save? Imagine a dark night, you hear the roaring water approaching, and you see massive dams cracking before your eyes. What would you do? Stay and fight or flee in desperation? This is not just a story of numbers or weather reports, it is a tragedy unfolding hour by hour, minute by minute, threatening the lives of millions. Can China withstand this destructive force? Or are we witnessing the beginning of an even more catastrophic disaster? Join us as we delve into this horrifying tale, where every decision could mean life or death. And where nature is unleashing its most powerful blows. Two, take a look. If you think forgetting your umbrella on a rainy day is bad, imagine yourself here, in this small city in Hunan province, China. In just 24 hours, this city received almost an entire year's worth of rainfall. 606 millimeters of water poured down as if the sky was wringing out every last drop right above us. Can you picture that? The water has risen so high that the bustling streets have turned into raging rivers. And what about the local authorities? They immediately implemented the strictest flood control measures, just like a chef trying to stop a pot of soup from boiling over, but this time, it's an entire city they're trying to save. Ladies and gentlemen, I must admit, I've never seen a bridge disappear this quickly. And the terrifying part is, the heavy rain isn't stopping. The forecast predicts it will continue through next week. Plenty of time for you to consider whether you should learn how to row before coming here, but Hunan isn't the only place facing this natural disaster. In Beijing, the heavy rain has forced authorities to temporarily shut down some suburban subway lines. Just one small mistake, and everything could collapse like a domino effect, bringing unforeseen consequences. The question is, what will China do to combat nature's wrath? Can they manage the situation, or will it spiral out of control? This is a story of survival. Of relentless efforts to protect people from the overwhelming power of nature. Stay with us, and don't forget to follow the Best Notes channel to keep up with the latest developments, and let's hope nature will soon show mercy to mainland China. Oh my God, what's happening in Shaanxi and Sichuan could leave you breathless. The Han River, once a gentle stream, has now turned into a raging monster, overflowing its banks and sweeping away everything in its path. Fertile fields that once sustained millions are now nothing more than a vast, murky sea. Imagine the land that farmers carefully tended all season, now submerged under muddy waters. Do they have any hope left for a harvest? Meanwhile, local authorities have swiftly set up shelters for the victims. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think being stuck in rush hour is uncomfortable, imagine the situation here, where people are crammed together in small spaces, not just for a few hours, but possibly for weeks. But at least they have a safe place to stay, which is far better than facing the threatening floodwaters outside. And if you think things couldn't get worse, just wait. Typhoon Praparan is closing in, bringing with it stronger winds and even more rain. Will this storm add to the fear? Meteorologists warn that it could be the final straw, turning an already dire situation into something far worse. Can you imagine a typhoon hitting a region already submerged in water? The combination of flooding and a typhoon could be the perfect storm, but this time, it's not a movie, it's real life. Oh, it's truly terrifying. China is facing an unprecedented crisis. Concerns about food security are growing, and the weather is becoming increasingly unpredictable. Can we stand firm against the destructive power of nature? Stay tuned, because this story still has many more frightening chapters ahead. Four. If you think unpredictable weather is just a few sudden showers ruining your picnic, take a look at what's happening in Gansu province. Just a few weeks ago, this was a drought-stricken land, but now it's turned into a beach, though not the kind of beach you'd want to visit. Continuous heavy rains over the past days have forced authorities to issue a red rain alert, signaling dangerous urban flooding. But could mere rain be enough to transform a dry, parched region into a vast, sprawling lake like this? The situation has become even more critical as this drastic weather shift comes on the heels of a prolonged drought in northern China. Is this just a natural phenomenon, or a sign of something more ominous? Climate change, a term we've become all too familiar with. But do we truly understand the impact it's having on our environment? And when we talk about flooding, we can't overlook China's longest river, the Yangtze. Water levels along this mighty river are being closely monitored, and the Three Gorges Dam, one of the largest hydroelectric projects in the world, is operating at full capacity to manage water discharge and reduce the strain on flood control efforts. Yet, it seems this colossal dam is nearing its breaking point as water pressure continues to rise with the relentless, unpredictable weather. While local authorities in Hunan are advising people to stay indoors and avoid flood-prone areas, we want to remind you of one thing: never underestimate the power of nature, whether it's rain or shine. A moment of complacency could leave you stranded in a sea of water with no escape, facing a force that always makes us feel smaller than ever. Oh my God, can you see this? If you think a heavy rain just leaves a few puddles on the road, think again. In Zhengzhou, the administrative center of Hunan, torrential downpours have turned this city into an unintended Venice. Streets that once bustled with traffic have transformed into raging rivers, and the entire transportation system completely paralyzed. Can you imagine this? A modern city, submerged in floodwaters within just a few hours. When we say, traffic paralyzed, we're not joking. From bicycles to cars, everything has been abandoned like forgotten toys in a vast ocean of water. Local authorities are doing everything they can to rescue and evacuate people, but the scale of this disaster has complicated their efforts tremendously. Imagine trying to pull a ship out of a sea of mud. That's exactly what they're up against. Don't take your eyes off the screen, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow the channel so you won't miss any of the crucial events that remind us just how fortunate we are to still be safe in this world. Six, and it's not just Zhengzhou. In Shaanxi, many rural areas have now been completely cut off from the outside world. Roads and bridges have been destroyed, and the only thing connecting these people to the rest of the world is hope and resilience. But the pressing question is, can new routes be opened before it's too late? In Sichuan, the situation is no better. Heavy rains have not only caused flooding but also triggered devastating landslides, sweeping away homes and leaving many injured. Imagine living on a hillside, and then one day, that hill decides to take a trip. That's what the people here are feeling. The biggest question is there any way to deal with this unfolding disaster? Or are we simply watching everything get swept away? We're bringing you a real-time reenactment of this catastrophic flooding in China. We're in the midst of a battle with no gunfire, where the enemy is nature, an enemy that shows no mercy. Emergency services are being deployed at lightning speed to evacuate and provide aid to thousands of people trapped in the flood zones. But the question remains, are these efforts enough to save the lives of the innocent, or are we witnessing a race where nature is always the victor? It's not every day you see bustling streets turned into dangerous rivers. Schools and businesses have been forced to close, not for a holiday, but because floodwaters have taken over everything. Even driving has become a perilous game that no one wants to play, because one small mistake and your car could turn into a boat. Don't take your eyes off the screen, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow our channel so you won't miss any of these crucial events, reminders that you're still safe in this world. The relentless rains are pouring down as if the sky itself is shattering, drowning an entire city in a sea of floodwaters. To combat this dire situation, the military has been mobilized, and rescue teams are working around the clock, day and night, clinging to the fragile hope of saving innocent lives. But as the rain continues to fall, as the floodwaters show no sign of receding, it feels like every effort is being swallowed by the rising tide. This scene is nothing short of a brutal battle for survival, where humanity is struggling against the overwhelming force of nature's destruction. Meanwhile, meteorologists are tirelessly analyzing the situation, trying to uncover the cause behind this extreme rainfall. But one thing is clear, we are facing an uncertain future, where disasters like this could become the new normal. This is no longer just a flood, it is a severe warning from nature, that humanity is paying the price for its impact on the planet. Hospitals are on high alert, ready to treat flood-related injuries, and community centers have now become temporary shelters, places where families have fled to escape the nightmare unfolding outside. This is not just an ordinary flood, it is the ultimate test of human resilience, against the boundless and merciless power of nature. And the most terrifying part is, could this be just the beginning? This story is far from over, and what lies ahead could be even more frightening. The devastating floods in China have left deep scars on the nation, thousands of homes swept away, and millions of people displaced. But what's even more frightening is that this could be just the beginning of more severe changes from Mother Nature. As we face an increasingly unpredictable world, preparation and vigilance have never been more crucial. This is only one of the countless disasters humanity must confront. Follow our channel, Best Notes, to stay updated on the most significant events related to extreme natural disasters, from earthquakes and floods to tsunamis. Hit that follow button now so you don't miss any vital information. Always be prepared, because we never know what Mother Nature has in store next.